is green. Get ready. 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Are you having a great week? I hope you're having a great week. I am. It's so gorgeous in Portland right now. We are really blessed. We're not getting that heat wave that some of you have where it's just horrendously hot. We aren't having the torrential downpours that some of you had. Oh my gosh, kind of scary. We didn't have the fires. Kind of awful when you think about what's going on around the world. And then we're just blessed here. Now, I'm sure Teacher Carolyn wouldn't say that 100% as she was working outside doing weddings in the heat over the weekend. And so she was definitely thinking it wasn't quite perfect. But right now, today, it's perfect. So how is it for you? Think of other housekeeping. If you're on your phone, turn it sideways so you get a bigger picture. If you are on your computer, you can go full screen. If you're on the TV, I'm already larger than life. We should be on YouTube and Facebook. Hopefully we've got everything up and running because we're going a little bit trickier today. We have no Ricky this time. Ricky is out today. So Ricky is on vacation. She went to the beach and hasn't come back yet. Oh my. But we do have Teacher Carolyn, Teacher Michelle with us, and running tech is David. So it's like the old days where we're all together. So it should be grand. I know that we're trying to get everything up and running. So if you take a moment now, introduce yourself, make sure that you put your tulip in if you are a member of the Tulip Bunch, and let us know where you're watching us from. Are you in Arkansas? Are you in India? Are you in New Zealand? Who knows? I just wonder where you are. And I know they are checking around to see that we're all live, and hopefully it is. Teacher Michelle.
Well, Diane checked in from California, home of the August hurricane.
I know, Diane, you guys, everybody's getting ready for the hurricane and all the rain and it was horrible. And then all of a sudden, earthquake. How can that be? Yes, David.
No YouTube.
Oh, YouTube's not on. Oh my goodness. So, sorry folks. If you know somebody that would normally be on YouTube, tell them to get over onto Facebook because that's where we are. Susie, I'm not sure if you're going to get this message, but if you would put a note in there to pop everybody over to Facebook. Caledonia is with us on Facebook. I don't know, Caledonia, can you put a message on YouTube? If we can get a message over there that we're all live on Facebook, and hopefully we can get everyone to scooch over. Darn it, guess who set up that? I guess I didn't push all the right buttons. Bad Leanne. But you know what, that's why I stay on this side of the camera, because sometimes on that side of the camera, I'm not quite so good. Dang it, but whatever. So Carolyn, you might even email Susie and just let her know, because that way she can get everybody scooched over maybe. We can hope, cross our fingers on that. And we'll get started flowering, because we'll still have a fun hour. We're just going to have to all squish together on Facebook since we don't have the YouTube working. So come on, squeeze in tighter. We can get everybody on. It'll be great. You can do this. If you know somebody should be here, go ahead and tag them. Let them know we're all hanging out on Facebook today. I thought I'd do one arrangement with floral netting. So foam-free mechanics. I did the netting in, taped it in place. Then I'm going to add water that I've already mixed with flower food. So that's all done. And then starting in the flowers. With all the arrangements that we're doing today, we're thinking about flower school and focusing specifically on emphasis. It's a really crucial principle that needs to be included on every single arrangement. Depending on when you went to school, general, that term has evolved over the years. When I first started teaching, it was considered to be the focal point of the design. And then it evolved to the focal area. So you may have learned thinking about the emphasis as the focal point or the focal area. I know that's the way I taught it at the very beginning. Then it evolved to where it was termed the accent area. So we went from focal point to focal area to accent. And then currently the term is emphasis. But the reality, it's all the same thing. So depending on when you did your studies, the terminology may have been a little bit different, but the emphasis is a key portion of the design that directs the eye to what should be the most important area. Emphasis, it emphasizes that most important area. It's generally low towards the base of the design and or the middle. You didn't want it to be too high. If the emphasis is too high, the balance will be off, your scale will be thrown, and it will just feel awkward. So your emphasis needs to be down low and somewhat centered. So I would start and do an all-sided arrangement, because when you're doing the elements and principles and you're thinking about emphasis, doing it in a one-sided arrangement with strong line and space oftentimes is easier visually for you to connect. But the reality is every single arrangement has emphasis. So even if it's a roundy-moundy or a Vespo compote that's lazy and kind of relaxed, or a long and low centerpiece, it's still going to have emphasis. So I thought I would go out of the realm of norm. And then I grabbed, this is actually foraged from right outside here. It's so pretty. It's clematis that's gone to seed. And I just foraged it, and it holds really well. This is actually a full week old. So I'm going to set that down in, starting my horizontal line, making sure I get it down into the water, because it's a thirsty little bugger. As long as it has water, it does fine. If it dries out, it starts to shed a bit. So it's kind of irritating in that respect. You don't want it to be shedding all over your table. Fading it in, letting it come out. So, Carolyn, I know you popped over to Facebook. Michelle, you're on Facebook. Who else is on Facebook?
Well, we have quite a few tulips that have popped in already. Jim, Kim, Scott, Kathy, Josh, Sherry, Julie, Robin, Denise, Casey, and another Kim. And Christy just checked in from up the road in Tacoma.
Ah, so we've got people from all over. Glad you're here. Wonderful. Has Susie popped on with us in there now?
She has.
Oh, good. Thanks, Susie, for being here on this side of things. That way you'll get to know our Facebook people a little more. Normally Susie's over on YouTube, but since we're not there, she comes here. Caledonia's with us. We've got quite the full house. So grand. If you know somebody that's normally on YouTube, reach out to them. Let them know they need to pop over this direction and join you here on Facebook. I'm going to wind from one side to the other. So I actually put it in both ends, the top and the bottom, and nestling it down. So I give this bushy appearance, making sure that I just let it be leggy and natural. Let's see here. Maybe a little bit more. Have we seen Lisa Straney yet?
I have not seen Lisa yet. No.
Okay. Well, let me know if we see her.
Okay.
We'll have to say hi.
We did have a question when you mentioned that you had flower food in your water. Somebody wanted to know, what is flower food? What does it do for the flowers?
Good question. Flower food has 3 ingredients. And those of you that have been to flower school, let's give you a chance to answer it first. See how many of you get it correct. So what are the 3 ingredients that are found in flower food? And it would be whatever brand, that doesn't make a difference. They all have the same 3 base materials. So tulips, what's in flower food? Type it in there, let's see who gets it in first. So what I've got here now is just a nest that allows me to start a vase to support all the other materials so that I can fill in then with a strong emphasis area. I'm going to add a little bit more on this side because I want to keep it symmetrical.
That's such a cool, fluffy.
I know, isn't this stuff great? I love this stuff.
I want to know where you found it because I want to go get some.
Oh yeah, it's just around the corner.
Oh, on the parking. I know exactly where it
Okay,
is.
so
Okay.
now students, if you come to September Flower School, I'll show you all my secret little spots that I think are perfect for foraging. Because even right here in the city, there are legal, safe places to gather cool things. And so I can share with you some of my best spots. And I bet you there's enough we'll be using some of this in class because it'll be just grand. Unless Michelle takes all of it.
I'll leave some. I'll leave some.
So did anybody come up with what is in flower food?
Yes, we've got a couple. Judy chimed in first with sugar, bleach, and water. And then Sherry and Nikki, I think it was Nikki, nope, it was Kathy, chimed in with nutrients, antibacterials, and acidifiers.
Okay. So, in the broader spectrum, yes, it's a nutrient, it's sucrose, so there's your sugars, but there's a sucrose in there. Then there is an antibacterial, and that's where somebody said, I think it was Judy said the bleach, but there's an antibacterial and a sucrose, and then there is a wetting agent, which lowers the pH of the water so that it's a little more acidic, and the flowers will drink the nutrition in faster. So it's a sucrose, antibacterial, and a wetting agent. So good job, guys. You got that. Now I'm going in with a little bit of ruscus and expanding on this nest. So again, I'm just creating a mass design, but it will still have to have that focal emphasis, which I'll go back and add in. If I get this together. I'm working with a horizontal line moving through the arrangement, creating a soft nest to support all the flowers. Maybe one more ruscus because I can see a little bit of my tape shining through here. I don't want to see that. I don't know if you could see it on camera, but there was a little tape shining through, and that's not good. So now I've got a lovely horizontal line going through, but there is no emphasis yet. I could take and add in maybe a little bit, which one do I want to go? Maybe a little fuzzy grass, that will be fun. And start creating a bit of an emphasis right here. So what I'm doing is trying to draw attention to this area. I'm just dropping it down in. I can do the repeat on the opposite side because I'm doing a two-sided arrangement. If you've got questions about emphasis, about the elements and principles as a whole, about flower school, type them in. I'm always curious to know what you all are thinking out there. If you don't have a question, let me know what you're eating. What's for dinner tonight? Are you sitting down eating? Do you have a cup of coffee like me? or maybe a glass of tea, or maybe you've got a glass of wine. What you eating out there? Teacher Carolyn, what's going
Well,
on?
Rick has a comment. He says, my stage name in college was Autumn Clematis.
Autumn Clematis, I love that. Autumn Clematis. Well, here we are with Autumn Clematis. So I've taken cymbidiums, which they grow on a spike, and a spike can be kind of expensive, but when you divide it out by the number of blooms, it makes it a much more affordable item, and that it works great to add into an arrangement. And they're such a bold item that they quickly create an emphasis area just because they are so fabulous. They're short stemmed, so I'm using a water tube, and then just inserting it in. Yes, Teacher Carolyn.
Diane has a really great question. If it's a two-sided arrangement, will there be two focal emphasis?
Bingo! Yes, yes. If you're doing it all the way around, you've got to be able to have it look perfect with an emphasis on each side. Now, you don't need it on all four sides, but the front and the back both have to have equal beauty. So I will have two emphasis areas when I'm done. Sometimes people will make one a little more important, but generally, since you're only going to see one at a time, they can be the same. They don't fight each other. And so yes, you would have two. I don't know why this one isn't cutting for me. There we go. So what I'm doing is just tubing up my orchids so that I'm ready to go. And then I'll place these to establish my emphasis area. And if you've been to flower school, you knew that cymbidiums have a face and a throat. And so when you place them, you want to make sure that you don't line the heads up parallel like that, because that creates a line that doesn't draw the eye anywhere. If you're trying to create an emphasis, you want to turn them so that they face each other, and they're saying, hey, looky here, this is the important area. Plus, as I was taught, orchids are social creatures, and they like to talk to each other. So you always face them towards each other. So as I place them in, I started an emphasis area with the grasses. Now I tuck this down with the grasses, reflex it a bit, and then bringing in another. And then yet another. Creating that impact that begins the emphasis area, and then repeating it on the opposite side. And I get to cheat and see what I'm doing this time, and then I'll turn it around to you, and I'll double check that side to see if I like it or not, or if I think I screwed it up. But we'll get this in. Find the perfect hole. There we go. Ruscus back in, and then one more. And I'm reflexing the petals so that their faces show a little more. So I'll turn it around so you can see. We've got the two facing, and three on this side that was facing you originally. And in doing so, not only did I create emphasis front and back, but notice the line that pulls your eye from front to back. So I'm creating depth in the arrangement. Then I can go ahead and add in a few more because I was doing oval, and right now I just have a stripe. So I've got to bring your eye out to each direction. Now, you could use one orchid on its natural stem. Making sure it's down into the water. And then adding the others in their tubes. And making sure that it looks good from the ends as well as the front and back. because it's a centerpiece. You want the whole thing beautiful.
Scott dubbed this tropical country.
Tropical country. Exotic, rustic.
It is, I mean, on camera it looks amazing with the different textures between the fluffy to the smooth. It's really, really beautiful. Not surprisingly, but just.
But isn't it amazing what that, which technically is a weed that I pulled out, how much it adds to the arrangement. It doesn't look like a weed in here. All of a sudden, it looks stunning. So now I've got the orchids tucked in, the main emphasis area extending out. I have a spare. I may use that later, don't know. But one stem of orchids really filled in nicely. Then, to give it just even a little more impact, adding in some related colors and a little more texture, keeping it focused to the emphasis area.
Here was a question, Leanne. If you take the orchids off the stem, will they last as long?
You know, great question. I find it makes absolutely no difference if it's on the stem or off the stem, except sometimes I think they actually last longer in the tube than they do on the stem, because the stem, well, I've lost my stem, there it is, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blooms on it, and one origin for it to drink. So it has to drink all that moisture up for all those blooms. Whereas if you cut it and put it in a tube, it's got its very own personal water source. So they can last literally weeks. So it certainly doesn't shorten the life, and it may extend the life, which is pretty grand, because with flowers being a luxury item, you want people to get the greatest value that they can, so that they want to buy them again and again, because they can see how long they lasted, and it gives them more reason to buy. I am going to stick this last orchid in. It belongs right over here. There was a hole, and I found it when I turned. There we go. And then coming back just a little bit more with some more grasses. Just because I can. I love grasses and vines and such. And for the autumn season, they just seem so perfect. So I've got a couple different kinds here. I'm just kind of clean them up a bit and give it a cut. And then I'm going to nestle them down in so that they come up through the center. There we go. And again, making sure that it looks good from both sides. So tucking and adjusting.
While you are tucking and adjusting, Rick has a really great question put out to you and FDI teachers. Do you ever feel burned out or in a rut? And how do you navigate through it? Where do you find your inspiration?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rick, and something that I'm sure you all can relate to, because especially when you're in your very busy times, when it's like, how many bud vases can you make, and how many centerpieces, and you just burn out. It's like any creative endeavor. At some point, you just go, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. It's making me crazy. Now, when you have beautiful flowers like this, it's certainly not too much. It's not making me crazy. It's like, oh, this is so fun. But there are days that you think, oh my goodness. And I find what really makes a difference for me and it may be something that works for you as well, is to just get outside. Go out and surround yourself in nature. Take a hike. They call it forest bathing, where you just go out into the wilderness and just stop. But it could be go out into the garden. It could be just anywhere with nature, and just let it wash over you. And don't expect anything of yourself. Don't try to be creative. Don't try to be doing anything. But just go be. And it's so healing. And you'll get more work done later because you're feeling better. And it's so important to give yourself that time to recharge and reboot. So that would be my way, is to be out, be in the natural world, and just be separate from whatever it is that has to get done. What do you do? I know you all have ways to combat that burned out feeling. What is your go-to? What would you recommend? Sometimes I know people, it's like they just have to sit and talk to a friend. They just need to have that social interaction. Are you more of a social butterfly? Is that how you escape? Other people go back to bed and pull the covers over their head. And you know what? That works too. But what is your go-to? I'm going to make another arrangement. Here we have the oval form, done mass style, both luxurious and rustic, but the emphasis is right here, and the emphasis then supports all the extension and gives the eye a resting point. Now when you do your emphasis, the orchids are an easy one because they're directional, and you're directing the eye into that center base area, and you're saying, okay, this is the important part, pay attention, take a look. But you can also make an emphasis by just using something that's either a little bit darker or a little bit bigger, or it could just be a tighter grouping of materials. So you don't have to have a directional bloom. It can be anything, but you would either find something that it's bigger, it's bolder, it's more exciting, or it's darker and deeper and more intense so the eye gets into it, or clustering it closer together to create that soft accent or emphasis area. I grabbed this one. I thought I would do it in foam. It's just a container off the shelf. Don't anybody ask where it came from because I have no idea. It was just on the shelf. And making an emphasis, you don't have to have a full stem of orchids. You can do it with something else. And I thought, And so I started with some yellow because I thought yellow is kind of bold and captures your attention. So this would be that bold color that has instant impact. It commands attention. It says, look here, look here. But then I thought doing some little orange things would be fun. These were left over from another project I had worked on. I thought, ooh, just love these. And then I had 2 pincushion protea, same orange hue. I thought, oh, that looks so good together. And then the yellow really makes it pop. But to create the emphasis, that's where I have to start. I have to think, okay, where and how? And one way of creating emphasis is to cluster very, very, very close and tightly. So taking some of these beautiful chrysanthemums, tucking them low and terracing over so I've got different levels, making sure that I break the line of my container. I don't want to have my foam sticking out anywhere, but just tucking them down super low to begin building an emphasis. And then I'm going to bring them through the back to create some depth, but not quite as strongly. That is my emphasis, but I don't want to forget to create depth by terracing across. Terracing is a flower school word, you know that one. So has anybody had hints for taking care of being burned out?
Yeah, we've had quite a few. Let's see, walks in the woods or taking long walks was good. Music. Jim said he takes the pontoon boat out for a sunset cruise or looks for bald eagles, which I thought was pretty cool. Scott likes to look at picture or art books to find something that sparks his imagination.
That's good. There's so many different ways to nurture your own soul, and it sometimes just takes some experimenting to see what works the best for you and how you can be more happy, more creative, more vibrant. And sometimes to get to more, you really have to step back and do less to give yourself space to become creative. I'm going to stick this over the top, commanding attention. And I'm going to turn it so you can see the back side too, how that has come through there to create depth. In there. And then coming in over the top, creating the focal emphasis area, an accent area, depending on when you learned. Then coming in with a little more movement. This was fun. That's Nightphobia, red hot poker, only it's orange instead of red, but it was pretty cute. And it's little baby pokers. Sometimes you see them, they're really big, and this time they were small. And I thought, I kind of like those. I love them actually. Then Gomfrina.
Lots more ways to relax are popping in. I thought this was interesting from Robin. Take a deep breath and no worrying about anything for 15 minutes. If it enters your mind and it makes it race, say cancel and then focus on your breathing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because sometimes just taking that 15 minutes is all you need to refocus your energies into a positive mindset. And remembering that, is it even going to matter in 15 minutes? And it might. But is it going to matter in 15 days? Is it going to matter in 15 years? Sometimes it really don't care. Doesn't matter. Move it away. Okay? Now, in this design, I started with the tighter groupings to draw impact, then added over the top with big, bold flower. But what I wanted to point out is how when you have a focal emphasis, everything feeds down to it. So the pokers come pointing to it, the Gomfrina comes pointing to it, the chrysanthemums go through it. They all dissect this area, and whenever you do that well, then you know you've got your emphasis area correctly placed. If your things do not dissect through the emphasis, you've done something wrong. So that's just something to always be aware of. If you do it right, everything will dissect through. So now I'm coming out to the side, but it's still going through that same spot. So another school word that goes with that would be your binding point, which is an imaginary point where all the stems would begin and extend outward. But here, I'm using it as a way of defining the emphasis area a little more. Another thing that I have found that helps me when I'm burned out and frustrated, and I know this is going to sound actually a little weird, but sometimes if you're burned out, It's because you're doing same old, same old. So if you take a moment and do something new and different, that solves it. So it could be learning a new word. It could be learning a new technique. It may be learning how to use a new flower. It could be coming to flower school and reinventing yourself, getting new energy, getting new excitement in your life. So if you're feeling burned out and like you just hate it, get out of that rut and do something about it. I know, I can't remember who told me this, but it was some of the best advice ever. If you get up in the morning and you don't want to go to work one day, okay, so be it. Go ahead, go to work. You get up in the morning and you go, I just don't want to go to work. Day 2, start paying attention, think about it. If you get a 3rd day where you really get up in the morning and you say, I just can't go to work. I hate my job, I hate my life, I just can't do this, then it's time for a change. So that would be my question to you. Are you burned out today, or are you burned out every day? And if it's every single day, what change are you going to make? Because you have to make a change. You cannot continue to burn out without killing your soul. And you shouldn't kill your soul, really and truly. So you've got to work on that. Trying to get my lines to all dissect through here correctly.
As you play with your line, Josh said, I love this one. I'm not sure what it is about it. Something about not having to use so many blooms. Next thing you know, there are flowers everywhere.
You know, sometimes the learning to stop is one of the hardest parts, because sometimes we just keep adding. That sounds sort of like a problem with life too. Sometimes we just keep adding when sometimes we should be taking away or reinventing rather than just adding on top of. But it's very possible to make beauty with a lot less material than we sometimes think, because as long as you have your emphasis and you have line and space, then you can create beauty without a lot. And it makes it kind of fun. So I added one Fatsia leaf. If you're part of the tulip bunch, you know that, I think it was Lori posted the question, well, we know Leanne loves Fatsia. What is your favorite foliage? So I thought, Lori, I'm doing Fatsia for you, because you're right, I love Fatsia. But look how just one leaf balanced off so nicely with these ferns. It's just like, oh, beautiness. Absolutely beautiful. And then thinking about what else I might want to add in here. I've got a little bit of a hole back here that I definitely have to add something because it's just missing out. And I think I'm going to put this direction just because I want to come back a little more. Where do I want to put him? I keep changing my mind. It's like, no, just leave him alone. And he doesn't go there either. Maybe he doesn't belong. Maybe he doesn't play well with the others. You know, there comes a point that sometimes you say, you don't get to play. You don't get to come. But there, he looks okay there, so he's good. But now I still have a little hole right here, and I had that yarrow, and I think this might work to fill that in just a little tiny bit. Keeping it low, because I don't want to take away from my emphasis area. The emphasis needs to stay the important spot, but you also don't want it to be naked over here. I'll fill it in.
Leanne, there's a question about the yarrow. Is it easy to care for? Does it have any special needs, or is it just a pretty good all-around flower?
It's a pretty good all-around flower, but that might be a good Tulip Tuesday. But I'll tell you right now, because you're with us live, I find with yarrow, I remove most of the foliage, like there's just a little bit here, but I take off most of the foliage, definitely everything is gonna be down low. Then I give it a nice, strong, slanted cut, and then I dip it in quick dip. It's a rapid hydrating solution, so I dip it in that, and then put it down into a vessel with cold water pre-mixed with flower food, and it seems to hold really, really well. It doesn't like to dry out, so if you have it and it dehydrates, it doesn't come back well. You're sort of just like, too bad, so sorry Charlie, out of luck. But as long as you hydrate it well, it should be good. Should be very good. I think I can do one more little fern over here just because. Where I want to put it. Right over here, just to get a little bit more movement to the back side. And lastly, a little bit of rattlesnake grass. Mixed in with my red hot hookers because they're sort of bare over there. You know, their stems were so lonely all by themselves, so adding the grass with them just fills in. So now I'm not being quite so minimal anymore. So whoever it was that said, oh, it's so nice, it's so minimal, guess what? I stuck in a whole bunch of stuff. But just because I could, you know, you don't have to, but sometimes it's just kind of fun. So now, this isn't more linear. Before I did mass. This is still mass, but much more linear. You can see groupings, you can see line, and you can see the emphasis area. And then everything converges on that. So I used a little larger, a little darker, and tighter groupings to establish that, and then it supports the design. It's interesting though, and funny that you said, oh, it was just so minimal and so pretty. Even if you're doing something like just a bud vase, you still have emphasis. So I might take and add water, duh. Too much water, and then thinking about what I've got here, and maybe using big, bold, easily makes an emphasis area. Taking out the foliage because I want it to be down quite low here because the emphasis is generally at the base. Okay, so it just nestles right in there. Then I can come up with line using the celosia.
Does that dry well, Leanne? Do you know?
Celosia dries great if you hang it upside down, because once it's stiff and dry, it still keeps its color, and then you can stand it up, and it's perfect. So yes, as long as you do it upside down, it dries really well. What else do I want to put in here? Oh, so many pretty things. Maybe I'll do the straw flower because that too dries well. And technically then, this whole thing could actually dry and be beautiful because the hydrangea's going to dry, the straw flower is going to dry, the celosia will dry. That's kind of fun. But I need to keep thinking about establishing that focal emphasis and not losing that. Okay, and supporting all my flowers, getting them to stay where I want them to. And I don't want to do just the wild wedding-y bud vase where you just go casual and all over the place. Because I want to really focus on the elements and principles and how you work them in, even when you're doing something simple. make him perch up there. There we go. You will be tall. And sometimes you just have to talk to your flowers and tell them who's boss. But now I've got my line leading to the emphasis area. I've expanded my form, created texture, so I have still my elements and principles going on, but keeping it kind of simple. Then if I wanted to make it even better, extending the line through the emphasis by letting it dangle, using the love lies bleeding. And I have to face it to myself to do this, sorry about that, but I'll flip it back around to you. And then get everything perched. So now bringing the line all the way through, still dissecting the emphasis. That was the point I was trying to make, is that even though I'm continuing on, it still fits right through the emphasis area. You never change that. If you do, then you've destroyed the placement. I'm going to add another of the straw flowers to create even more impact. As we are getting ready for class, it's so fun. We're all having so much fun getting ready for back to school. And we're picking new containers, new mechanics, new flowers. And it's like, oh, we should be doing this, and ooh, we should be doing that. It's going to be a great class. So if you haven't signed up yet, you've got two chances. One in September, starting on the 11th, and one in October. That's it. I think September has 2 spots left, that's all. And then October, I believe, has 4 spots left. So if you're thinking flower school, now's the time. And I know some people are in the online right now doing their basic studies, and then they're joining us in October for their advanced studies in person, which that's going to be fun too. So I get to know you online, and then all of a sudden you show up at the doorstep, and it's like, oh, how cool is that? Okay, so emphasis area, line goes into it, line comes out of it, but still drawing attention and giving you that visual weight that you need. I think I have time for one more. Let's see if I can move some things around here. Anything else going on out there?
There was a question that just popped in about classes. If you take part of your classes online and come to class, can you still become certified?
Oh, great question. Quick answer, yes. Because the classes are the same. You're either online or you're in person, but you're learning the same things. The testing is the same. The reality of how we work with you is the same. Teachers are the same. You know, everything is pretty much identical. But life gets in the way, and you can't always spend a month in Portland because you have other responsibilities. So doing the basic online and saving those 3 weeks from having to be here allows you to get the same studies, get the same information, but without, you know, having to come into Portland. You get to do it from the convenience of your own home, on your own schedule. It could be the middle of the night. We don't care when you do it. It really is up to you. And so you can do that then. Whoops, I broke him. I was trying to pop him open and he broke. Oh well, so much for him. He didn't want to play. I can tell you, if they don't work, you just don't use them. It doesn't matter. And so then you'll come to Portland, but just for 1 week. And so getting 5 days away from the house is a lot easier than trying to get the entire month. And so yes, many people do that. So then you get your basic certificate from home, then you get your advanced certificate in person, And then you get, once you have the 2 of those, you qualify for the FDI Certified Floral Designer Certificate. And if you choose to go on with the American Institute of Floral Designers, that is recognized as preparing you to take their CFD testing online. So they really do fit together well, online and in person. And I know a lot of people like it just because they get to try both ways. And I've had some people that always love it, that they'll do the basic online, and then they'll come to class and do the class in person, and then they turn around and buy the advanced online as well, just because they can then use it as a reference and see different approaches to it. So it's kind of like a double, but it definitely works. And for those that are trying to maximize their skill set and their knowledge base, gives you the best of all worlds. Now, using Dusty Miller, I love Dusty Miller, tucking it down tightly because it definitely needs close to the water. It doesn't do well if it dehydrates. Then adding in a bit of ruscus because the green to the white, silvery gray, so much fun. Then coming back with the yarrow and feeding it through. And since we're talking emphasis, as I do this, I'm cleaning it up a bit and tucking it down deeply, because in a hand tie like this, the emphasis really becomes the center area where your eye has a resting point, and then everything extends outward from there. Guess I used only yarrow. I only have 2 pieces. I thought I might have 1 more, but I don't. Oh well, I guess I don't need it. Must not have been necessary. So the yarrow gives me a nice base that's supporting everything visually, and then I can come in with spray roses, a little bit over the top, weaving. I was doing some design evaluations for the online students, was it last week? And what fun it was to see how many of you were doing hand-tied bouquets with flowers from your own garden. It was beautiful. Okay, questions, it's got a few more minutes, what's going on?
Joy would like to know how long students have access to the online material once they've graduated.
Forever. Yeah, it's a lifetime thing. It's an annual, okay, let's make sure you know all the pieces. You sign up for online, you get your materials, you have 1 year with full teacher support. You can pick up the phone and call us, you can email, you can put your stuff in the dashboard, you can do whatever you want. You've got 100% teacher support for a year. Within that year, you need to graduate. You gotta get the job done. Then once you graduate, then we can open it back up. So you have continued access. Your access doesn't stop at a year, but your teacher support and the ability to graduate does stop at a year. You need to get it done, but that's easy. You can. Okay? What other questions?
I think that was the only one that popped in right there.
So if you guys have questions, you got just a little bit longer. Now the emphasis on this one, it's not going to be as obvious. The other 2 arrangements, it was very obvious. I had the flowers directionally placed. I had big and bold. Here, it's much more casual, sweet, round bouquet. So the emphasis really is just down inside. And that emphasis is all the radiating lines extending outward through that point. And so sometimes when people say, well, but it's just round, it doesn't have emphasis. Yes, it does. If it doesn't have emphasis, it's just a hot mess. You've seen that, haven't you? We've all seen that, where you go, what were they thinking? And you're like, And it's generally because they forgot to include an emphasis area. And they didn't organize their materials to where it had a logic in the design and an organization. Because without organization, the eye just gets lost and you're going, whoa, what am I looking at? Whereas once you organize it with an emphasis and the proper spacing, then it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Then you can go through and add more flowers because you know that you're organizing it in the same pattern. And I'm still going through the same emphasis area. I don't want to change that. Oh, there's a little more yarrow. I thought I had a little bit more. So let's go through it. And I feel like I have no yarrow on this side. And so my emphasis wasn't strong enough pulling there and also on this side. So by adding this tucked low beneath the other blooms, it extends that emphasis area out. There we go. Now that's better. So little touches like that that can make such a difference. And then what else do I want to do? I've got some beautiful Lysianthus. Local grown. Local grown Lysianthus is always the best. It's just, oh. Tuck in, coming around, balancing, turning it. Now, of course, if you're in class with me and you are doing a hand tie like this and you haven't prepared your materials ahead of time, I'd be saying, well, you know, it'd be much better if you had that prepared ahead of time. You wouldn't have to wrestle with it in your hand. But guess what? I didn't have mine prepared ahead of time. So if I tell you that while you're in class, you can say, well, you don't always do it either. And you would be right. But, oh well. I didn't know I was going to use it, but I got done with it and I was like, ooh, I should put some of that in here. It'll be so pretty. Pretty, pretty.
So Rick has an important question. What's David making for dinner?
You know, it's funny. Today, I don't think that he is. We have started a no-cook Wednesdays. I know, I'm not weird. But because Wednesdays are just kind of crazy days. And so we started a no-cook Wednesday. So it'll probably be a nibble kind of dinner. And just popcorn. And maybe carrots, you know, that type of thing. So yeah, you'll have to ask me on a Tuesday or a Monday what I'd be having, because then he's cooking again. But yeah. I don't remember who I was talking to. I said, oh yeah, but my husband doesn't cook on Wednesday. And they looked at me like, well, but don't you? No. No.
They obviously didn't know you.
That's right. So your husband doesn't cook on Wednesday, but what about all the other days? Yes, he does, all the other days.
Oh my gosh, the hearts are blowing up. They love,
Is this
love
one-
that.
Even though I wasn't properly prepared, you know, hand ties, I still find them to be one of my most favorite things. And it's something that's a little bit tricky when you're learning. In fact, it's very frustrating when you're learning. But, you know, the teachers will work with you and you just keep trying, and then all of a sudden, it just works. But it is a little tricky at first because the flowers don't always go right where you wanted them to. They have kind of a mind of their own. And you're just like, really? What am I thinking? Okay, I think I'm just about done. So Rick, what are you having for dinner? Let's turn that thing on you. What are you having for dinner? Everybody, that's it. I want to know everybody's dinner. Inspire me. What should I tell David to cook me next? That's the question. What should David cook? David, pay attention. No. So then I'm just adjusting a little bit so that I know that the focal emphasis is still having everything feed outward evenly and balanced so that it all fits together well. And then all I need to do is tie that off using my handy dandy bind wire that is in the handy dandy holder so that it doesn't go anywhere. Thank you, Lori. And then giving it a cut.
Kim says that it's trivia night, so they're headed to the pub.
I love it. Wednesdays are trivia. I think our pub does it on Tuesday. They call it nerd trivia or something like that. And I think it's on Tuesday. So if you come to flower school here, I'll tell you where that is. It's just a walking distance from here. It's very close. So you can all go to nerd trivia. I think it'd be more fun if it was flower trivia, though. Wouldn't that be fun? Maybe that's what we should start in school. Flower trivia every day and see who wins. Well, that sounds like I just made more work for myself. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Who just said that? I didn't hear that. No. Okay. And then just dropping it down in. Should have had my turntable here. And the emphasis is just deep in the center. And it's all the way around, right in the center, supporting the flowers visually so that they can extend outward gracefully. Last thing I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to have to say goodbye because it's that time, is when you're designing something like this, one of the tricks is to make sure that 60% of your material is all on one level. So like the zinnias, the roses, the yarrow, the dusty miller are all deep. Then 30% extend out a little more. And then 10% is really tucked way in, like the ruscus, where you can almost not see it. And when you divide it up, that 60, 30, 10, your arrangements are so much more interesting because they don't look like they're smashed all together at the same place. Gives you that movement. Now you know one more little trick to add to your designs. Next week, we'll have teacher Michelle up here with a dahlia grower. FDI certified floral designer and flower farmer, Linda DePersis, is going to be joining us in the studio. So hopefully you can join us next week and see magic with dahlias. But for now, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you all next week, hopefully both on Facebook and YouTube. Bye for now.